All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Ministry Revealed. It is summer solstice on our Gregorian calendars. It is June 21st, 2018. And guys, we have an exciting video for you guys today. With all glory to the Lord, as always, and the Spirit working through this ministry. And in particular, today for this video, two shouts out to some subscribers. One to Tabitha, disciple Tabitha, you see, and another one to Keith Klein. You know, this is what I love, guys. You guys are out there seeing that what is being revealed on this channel is true for yourselves. And you guys are the ones coming back to me, proving to yourselves that what I show here on this channel is true. And you come back and you send me comments or you send me emails and you say, I didn't know this. I've done a study, for example, and I looked into the Matthew, Mark, and Luke and noticed where the Gospels were speaking differently one to another. And I noticed this was different. Excuse me. This was different. This was different. This was different. And you guys start catching these things and you send some to me. And this one in particular that we're going to get into today is exactly that. It's one that I never caught. I never noticed. I don't know all of them. There are so many. And this here, after Tabitha had sent me that, Keith Klein had read her comment and he had sent a comment on it. And he sent me a link with this in an email with this website. All right, rationalwiki.com or .org. All right, and look what they say. Contradictions. When you read through and you see their little commentary notes here, it has to do with the differences in the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. All right, and guys, I have shown you on this channel from the beginning. The Spirit led me on September 8th, 2017, woke me up to this understanding, because prior to that day, I was just following and just understood everything the way the pastors had always taught us. But on September 8th, 2017, the Spirit caught my attention while I was doing a video. And I paused and I said, I'm going to have to come back to that. Something just caught my attention. I literally said that in the video. And after the video was done, I started digging into it. And all of these revelations have come about, on this channel from that point forward. And this one now is a continuation of that, a building, an adding to it, confirmation to it, as well as proof that others are finding the truth in it out there as well. And here's what it was. Matthew, Mark, Luke, right? For me, what it was Luke 21. This has always been one of my favorites now, is Luke 21's discourse. Because what I had noticed was, and this was nothing new, that people had always noticed there were differences within the Gospels. Nobody that I've heard in my entire life, from the Chuck Misslers, the Perry Stones, all the big names in English-speaking language that we've heard of, have never come to the full understanding of who these Gospels are speaking to. This channel was revealed that understanding. And not by me, by the Holy Spirit. In Luke, compared to Matthew and Mark, Matthew, Mark, and Luke have the discourses. And in Matthew and Mark, you don't get this point. You don't have this in Matthew and Mark. In Matthew and Mark, it says, watch therefore, nobody knows the day and the hour, not the angels of heaven, and so forth, right? They're both spoken of a little bit differently, but within the same idea that nobody's going to know the day and hour, all right? By the way, it doesn't mean not the month and the year and so forth, right? The season. But within Luke, it doesn't have that at all, because we're going to be very well of the time. And I believe you'll have to, people that are new, go back and watch previous videos. It is worth your time to get the understanding. We're in the 70th year. That's no mystery. But the mystery as to when that 70th year and the unraveling, it's on this channel. All right? So when you go in and we go into here, this was one of my favorites, always been one of my favorites in the last, since the 9 months or so since it's been revealed. Watch ye therefore and pray always that you may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. Excuse me. One of my favorites. This, along with other things, but this was a huge piece to realizing when the Spirit woke me up to start digging that Luke is talking to the bride of Christ. Mark is speaking to the body of the church, the rest of the church. Yes, the bride comes from the church. She is the first fruits of the church. All right? And within Mark, there's another group that's the 144,000. All right? And they're going to be the first fruits out of here, from here, for Matthew. All right? Because Matthew is speaking to Judah. All right? They're waiting for their kingdom on earth. Right? Heaven on earth is what they're getting. We're getting the kingdom of God, which is in heaven. Excuse me. And this is what all started with me, was understanding who these books were speaking to. In particular, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, the Gospels. Since then, we've been able to unravel many others within here. Going back even to the ones that were more recent with Hosea, speaking to the Gentiles in the end days. 14 years. I'm doing a series right now, which I've told you guys about. We've got the our Operation 14 Years, the mission that we're doing. You guys have been so great at sending in donations. It's been awesome. We've put in a second batch of USBs. The first batch came in. The second batch were the 21st. I'm expecting it in today. And that batch was a bigger batch than the first one. And I'm going to be getting these videos done. I thought I would be able to get these the USBs out. We're sending them out to those of you who request them, and we're sending them out to churches. So outside of the request that we get from you guys, everything else is we're sending to churches and pastors of churches all around the world as we can find them, starting with the main ones that we know that have affected us, that have affected me in my walk, and giving them these revelations. I'm going to lay it out as crisp and clear as I can, but that's what we're doing with that mission. And so please, guys, donate, donate, donate. It's going now. It's going. The letter is done. The list is continuously being put together. And the videos, if they're not done and burnt on the USBs by tomorrow, by late tomorrow, then they'll be done over the weekend. And on Monday, they're going to get shipped out. All right, at the latest on Monday, they're going to be shipped out. So continue sending in these donations, right? We have it. You can just go to our, well, you're on our YouTube channel. Just go to the YouTube channel, click About, and you're going to see paypal.me/the ministry revealed. And you can donate there, or you can send money to the address that we have there on the About Us on Ministry Revealed as well. All right, I have to plug that, guys, because this is so exciting because it's going to be so important. I talk about it now because the 14 years. The mission is called Operation 14 Years. And our goal is to wake up the church, to as many as we can wake up, to the truth and understanding that the tribulation is actually 14 years and not 7. You're going to have approximately 7 years of seals and 7 years of trumpets. All right? And I reveal it here on this channel through so many different things. And this was another one, right? Hosea is 14 chapters long. Zechariah is 14 chapters long. This is from the viewpoint of the Gentiles, and Zechariah, 14 chapters, is the viewpoint from the Hebrews, right? Maybe even with Israelites in there, but from the Jewish nation standpoint, whereas, Hosea is from the Gentile standpoint. All right? There's a first fruits, there's a main harvest, then there's the gleaning in corners, right? The stuff that'll be here to the end. Guys, I've spoken about it so many times. I know you guys that watch this continuously know what I'm talking about. But for those that are new, and for those that have sent some money, for those who have sent us your prayers and are praying for this ministry, thank you, thank you, thank you. And for everybody new, we don't just need your money, we want your prayers as well. Whatever you can in money, that would be great, because we are sending these out and we want to do as many as we can as quickly as we can, because I don't believe we have much time. All right, I believe the escape of the bride is a mid-July thing. And again, you know, I hesitate to tell you guys what the name of my business is, which like I've told you guys in previous videos, I haven't done anything with, except for orders that come in from our website, but no sending stuff anymore to Amazon. You know, we were in 297 stores in Western Canada, and we haven't had reorders yet, but we haven't been following up with them to really get on them to get more orders. But if I told you guys, and maybe at some point, you know, if it turns out that 2018, this mid-July, isn't the season, then we've probably got another year and we're looking at 2019. It's all based on when Jesus literally died on the cross and the Holy Spirit came. Was he born in 2 BC and was crucified in 31? I believe that is the case. And when you understand the moon and these things that I've taught of in the past, you understand that May 14th of this year, the 70th anniversary, was the actual Passover. The tribulation, the first seal, the white seal, I believe has been broken. It is opened, and the white horse rider is here gathering and working the bride and conquering to conquer, which is in victory is what it means. All right? I believe that's what's happening right now. So the reason I bring it up with my business, if you guys knew the name of my business before this ministry began, I had no intention, no idea of doing a ministry. I was just going to do some videos and just essentially repeat what every pastor was saying, maybe being able to help in some way reaching somebody new. But if you knew the name of my business, I think it it tells the story in just a few words of what the Lord had planned for me, which was the bride. And the revelation of the bride and who the bride is compared to the church. Right? We've all been taught all of our lives, for the most part of us, that everybody, the whole church is the bride. That's just not true. 10% is going. All right? The first fruits, the tithe of the church is the bride. All right? And we're going to touch on that today, and it's going to give greater revelations and confirmations. And in fact, you know, the big thing is, I don't want to say it's an argument, because it's not an argument, but it's a debate that I have with so many channels. And I'm not upset by it. I'm just hoping that I can get through to some of them. That's all I'm doing. But you know, everybody gets stuck and they say, no, this way, because they've seen this and they see this and that. I get it. I'm not going to change anybody's mind. Either they're going to have eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to receive and to search it out for themselves and not just dismiss it. All they have to do is listen to people that have been on this channel for a while watching to understand what has been revealed on this channel. Stuff that Daniel was told was going to be revealed in the end days and not till then. That's the kind of information being revealed here. And as you can see, guys, I'm so excited, because with what has been sent to me and what I've been able to dig through, you know, absolutely more proof that Luke is talking to the bride, that Mark is talking to the church / Gentiles, right? Even Israelites within there, and that Matthew is speaking to Judah. But what about John? Right? My focus, I didn't focus too much on John. I've had a sense in John for quite a while. You know, here's a big piece as to why. In John, it's either, there's a lot where it says it in John, but for sure it's in John 6 or in John 8. He talks a lot about you know, in so many of the Gospels, so many of the things that we read, it must be in 6, but in so many of the Gospels, when we're reading them, it says, in the end days, in those days, right? Talking about the end times coming. In John, it has a lot of in that day, not in those days, not in that time, in that day, at that day. It's literally at that time. All right? Whereas the other ones are speaking more of a future, whereas this one has a lot of focus in John's gospel of at that time, at that, whence it begins, if you will. At that time, it's speaking to in John in a lot of it. All right? So I've been suspicious that John, because like I said, I spent most of my time, because of how I started with what was revealed to me, was the discourses of Luke, Mark, and Matthew, and the revelation that came to me there. And yes, the 144,000, they are within Mark, but they're not Mark. All right? They're going to get sealed before the rapture takes place, and they're going to gather them. But I've always been suspicious that the book of John is the one that talks more directly to the 144,000. And when you see what is going to be revealed today, I simply, with everything else I've revealed here about the 144,000 and the timing, the understanding of the timing, the 42 months and the 1,260 days and the times and half a time, and the true understanding of the 14 years and of Psalms 90 and 10, why it's 70 years, but if it's 80, it's tribulation, right? There's 10 years there with tribulation. And then soon we fly away. And fly away, that's the end of, that's Revelation 12, verse 14. When they fly away into the wilderness for what? A time, times, and half a time. That total is 14 years. Right? Well, today is going to be absolutely more proof. And for all those, I mean, I know there are even people on this channel that watch a lot, that have watched all the videos, but they still, like a great brother here in just north of where I live, and I went to go visit him and his family with my family, and he found me through the ministry here on YouTube, and he still doesn't, he believes 14 years, but he thinks the seals have already passed, like so many out there teaching. Everybody seems to think, for the most part, not everybody, but those that a lot of us are watching right now seem to think that we're waiting on the 6th seal. It's just absurd. You know, why have John write a book, excuse me, with all those seals in it pertaining to the end days, when all those things and seals were things that were already happening for thousands of years before John was given the purpose to write them? There was already famines. There was already pestilences. There was already floods. There was already persecution. Right? He was given those because they're specifically for a time of the end. There's so many things we can point to in the seals, can't we? There's so many things we can point to in the seals and say that they've already happened. Right? There's already been peace taken from the world in a great sword. It's been happening for thousands of years. Right? Same with famine. Right? Same with killing. Well, maybe not a quarter of the earth, by the way. Right? How is it, I'm sorry, I don't mean to chuckle, but how is it that people think we're waiting on the 6th seal when a quarter of the earth is going to be killed by sword, hunger, death, and beasts of the earth? Yet people think we're waiting on the 6th seal. What? It's absurd. And I love those guys. I do. I'm hoping to get through. You know, the time is so late, and what I teach, you know, guys, it's not a salvation issue. However, in a way, part of it is, because it's repentance and being obedient to the Lord, giving Him thanks, spending time with Him. That's how you get to be part of the bride. Watching and praying always. It's, a lot of this, yes, is to wake up those that are in the church to move and become part of the bride. Move into the 10% and avoid all of this. But the bulk of what we understand here on this channel, what's being revealed, which is why we're doing this USB program, right? Which is why I'm doing a bunch of these USBs that you guys are helping supply with your donations. Right? What you guys are helping with your donations is we're getting a bunch of these USBs, which we've got in now and more coming. These are being put together and mailed out with information to pastors around the world because of the end. When the bride is gone and this tribulation kicks in, we'll have information for those who are left. Imagine expecting only 7 years and thinking whatever happened to those people, there must be a mid-trib, and thinking 3.5 years later that you're going to be raptured in 3.5 years. And 3.5 years comes, and it's just the beginning time, where about the time of that beheadings are going to come. Imagine that. Imagine. Why do you think there's the falling away? The great falling away. That's probably the big piece of it. Imagine how disappointed people are going to be when they thought they were going to be quote-unquote raptured, and they're still here and tens of millions of people have vanished. What are they going to say to their pastors that are still here? Not all of them, but those that are still here. They're not going to want to believe in them. The purpose of this mission, of this Operation 14 Years, is exactly that. To let them see that there were others who knew what was coming, who understood the times we were living in, who understood the truth of the end and how long it's going to be, so that when that time comes, they will know that they were told beforehand, so that once it comes, they'll believe. That the truth is the rapture is still coming. Not in 3.5 years, but within about another 2.5 years after that. It'll be at about the 6.5 year point. All right? Guys, I'm just fired up. I'm so excited about this one today. And we're going to get into it right now. So this was what was sent to me by Keith, and it started because of Tabitha. And guys, it's so awesome. You guys should go read this for yourselves. If I forget to put it in the link, just see it right here. You can just type this in, right, on Rational Wiki. All right? And it's what they would quote unquote say is contradictions. Now, there's a lot in here, and you guys can go through this and you can get the understanding for yourselves. Go to the scriptures. Now that you know why Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John speak slightly differently, you can understand, whoa, it's because Luke, when he's speaking as if he's talking to the bride. So anytime you see a difference in scriptures, you'll understand because of who's speaking to in relation to the Gospels. All right? Luke is speaking to the bride. This one's Matthew. Matthew is speaking to Judah. Mark is speaking to the church. And John is speaking to the 144,000. And guys, that one just really fires me up today. This one with John fires me up because I've taught you guys in the past too that what? John is 21 chapters long. And you know that the teaching that we've heard from pastors and teachers for many years is that Psalms relates to the years like 1900, 1901, 1902, and they've been able to correlate things right up even to when Israel became a nation again. Psalms is the 19th book, the 48th chapter, boom, 1948, and it talks about them having their land again. Right? You can do this in all of Psalms. And when you get to Psalms 100, it's the year 2000. And you can keep going. But you can carry that forward. And when you carry that number count understanding forward for chapters, books and chapters, not verses, but up to chapters, to the years, John lands in 2011, 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Right? And early in the morning he came unto the temple, and all the people came unto him and sat down, and he taught them. Came early in the morning to the temple. This is what we're waiting for. You know, I tell you that the rapture is in the year 2024. Well, it turns out this lines up to the year 2019, 2020, 2021, 22, 23, 2024. And what is it? In my Father's house are many mansions, and where I go to prepare a place for you. That if it weren't so, I would have told you that where I go, I come again to take you to where I am, that you may be also. Rapture 2024, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. And remember, we go from spring to spring. What is this 1 to 21? This is Jacob working for Leah, Rachel, and the next 7 years that he works for Laban, for a total of 21 years. This is all about, just like in the book of Psalms, and you can go to Psalms 118, Psalms 124, Psalms 131, and see the exact same things that you're going to find here for 2018, 2024, 2031, and events that we can correlate and figure out when events are going to happen during the end days. All right? This is what is in John. But, so that is very exciting. We've spoken about those before. But today, we're going to give proof, more biblical evidence of who these books are speaking to, that is so undeniable that if those who are believing that the 144,000 are the bride of Christ because we're at the point of the sixth seal, I pray this reaches them. I pray that they will watch it and that they will go see the scriptures for themselves, because it is simply undeniable that the bride is the portion of the church. The seals have not begun, except with the exception, I believe, of the first one opening. But I mean the tribulation, the bad portion beginning. Today, it's awesome. It's so awesome, all right? Look, this one right here that's part of a mind blower, and this right here. So awesome. All right, here we go. What Tabitha had sent me was about what she found, and I think I haven't named this video yet while I'm talking, but it'll probably be relating to the bride, the mystery of the robe or something like that. So you're seeing it in the title. All right? It's all about the robe that Jesus was given when they were going to crucify him. All right? It reveals everything that I've been teaching here on this channel about who the books are speaking to and who goes when and where everybody is in this scenario. All right? Look at this. This is actually Mark. You would think Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, but see, they got Mark is first, all right? Matthew's in the second row. Luke is in the third row. John is in the fourth row. All right? So just remember that when we're looking at this. Okay? So, like I said, Tabitha shared the understanding, or not the understanding, but shared these robe colors with me, and then Keith sent me this link. All right, to all this. Now watch this. All right, let's go start in Mark. So let's go to Mark 15, and we're looking for the color of the robe that Jesus was given. And guys, there's going to be so many other mysteries woven into this understanding that I'm not going to go down the trail. I'll point a couple things out, but you guys, if you want, you can go take the time for yourselves, all right? Because after this video, I've really got to finish up with these other ones, all right? But I had to get this one out. I just had to. It's so exciting, all right? In Mark, which we know is speaking to the church, right? His robe that they clothe him in is purple, all right? Just literally purple, meaning red, blue, color itself, purple. All right? Now we think, okay, well, what's the big deal? Exactly. What's the big deal? Okay? Then we go to Matthew's discourse, or sorry, we go to Matthew's gospel. And what do we see about Matthew? Matthew says, and they stripped him and put on a scarlet robe. A scarlet robe, okay? We're going to look at this too because this is going to be an important piece to pay attention to. Mark's purple color is 4209, all right? But we'll come back to that. Here we are in Matthew 27, and they put him in a scarlet robe. You see, when you really start digging into these gospels for yourselves, and you start seeing all of these differences within it, here's another one right here, right? And they put the crown of thorns, they put upon his head, and a reed in his right hand. There's no reed in his right hand in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, or in Mark and Luke either. It's just that they beat him on the head with it. But in Matthew, he's holding it in his right hand. They give it to him. Then they take it from him and spit on him and beat him with the rod. But they put it in his hand first. See, how is it that all four gospels, well, 3 out of the 4, have a different color of robe? Okay? That's what we're talking about here. It's revealed in the color of the robe being described in the gospels. It's so crazy. All right? So scarlet. Crimson in color. Scarlet comes from G2848. A kernel of seed, corn, grain. I haven't gone into the full breakdown of this because this isn't the big deal that I want to get into today of this understanding. But I will guarantee you there's a purpose as to why a kernel of corn. All right? Remember, we're talking Matthew. It could very well relate to Satan. All right? Just pay attention. You're going to see where this scarlet and purple goes. You guys already know, I'm sure. So here we have Jesus now put in a scarlet colored robe, which means kernel, seed, grain. We have Mark that puts him in a purple robe, meaning just the red, blue color itself. All right, literally purple. And then let's skip to John. Watch what John has. John, in his gospel, tells us, it's in 19:2. And the soldiers plaited the crown of thorns and put it on his head, and they put on him a purple robe. Now, all right, it's not the same purple. It's 4210 here in Luke, but Mark is 4209. Now, what could the possible purpose of it not being the same color purple? Why on earth would it not be the same color purple? All right, here it is, 4210. So it's not red-blue, meaning purple. It's a bluish red, which equals purple, right? Because there's a root word, and it comes from, obviously, the word purple, which is why they use the word purple. However, it's not the same purple. Okay? We're going to touch on that. And then watch Luke. All right? Let's go to Luke. I told you from the beginning, guys, Luke is speaking to the bride. The 144,000 are not the bride, and I'm going to prove it more. And the bride is going first. First fruits of the church, the 10% of the church. Mark's group, the main harvest, is going in the rapture in 2024. But right before they go, you're going to have the 144,000 who are going to gather these guys together, who are going to gather, the main harvest together in the rapture. All right? So let's look at Luke and see, is he scarlet? Does he say purple? What is it that Luke says? Oh, and by the way, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to say that so loud there. Here's another thing. You guys want to go look into it? And the same day, Pilate and Herod were made friends. Thank you, Tabitha, for sharing this one. Together, for between them, they were at enmity. They were hostile to each other between themselves. But not anymore. They became friends. You realize that this whole Herod Pilate thing and Herod being mentioned in the crucifixion time is only in Luke. Check it out for yourselves. And again, this is another teaching I can get into. Right? Herod finds nothing wrong. He's not going to accuse him of anything. So then Pilate says, forget that. Right? I'm going to give him a little chastisement, but I'm giving him back to you guys. Right? But Pilate and Herod were made friends. Sound familiar? Sorry, guys. There's so much awesomeness in here today. Sound familiar? They were made friends. Ding, ding, ding. Ring any bells? Oh, yeah, I think we could be great friends. We'll just have our meetings and, yeah, I'm sure we could be friends. Sounds like a plan, Mr. Trump. Man, it's awesome. All right. So, and he was arrayed. So look at what they arrayed him in. And Herod, with his men of war, set him at naught and mocked him and arrayed him in what? Not purple. Not another version of purple. Not scarlet. A gorgeous colored robe. A gorgeous robe. You ready? It's exactly what you think. Radiant, magnificent, bright, clear, white. How many times have we used these on this channel? White, bright, clear, clean. Always. Because it's talking to the bride. Being made white. Bright white. When we go, when we escape, poof, we're going to be made light. That spark that was put in us at birth. We're going to return home to our Father. And we're going to what? 2 chapters earlier. For those who are accounted worthy to escape all of these things and to stand before the Son of Man. That's right. We're going to escape all these things and stand before the Son of Man. That's where we're going. For who? The accounted worthy. Narrow is the way. Do you think all those that call Jesus their Lord or that just say they've known Jesus? Do you know how many scriptures I have found in the New Testament? I can't even count them anymore. Do you know how many that say you need to be obedient and follow his commandments? There are dozens and dozens. Do you really think narrow means that the bride is going to be, 1.5 billion people on earth that say Jesus Christ, that say they know him? Come on. It's not true. Either the churches have been duped and those leaders have been duped, or they're in on the dupe. I think it's a combination of all of them. It's the narrow that are accounted worthy. This is the time of the Holy Spirit for these last 2,000 years. That is gathering the bride. It has been a narrow way for the last 2,000 years. And I've talked about that number before. The about 2%. That's it. I think it's 1.8% in my understanding. of all who have died since the Spirit came. Yep, that's it. And of those who are going to escape all these things, those that are found accounted worthy, who are obedient, right? Who are obeying the commandments, who when we sin, we know who we have Christ to turn to repent daily, right? Who are watching and praying always, right? The accounted worthy, that small group. I believe that escape is the 144 million, not the 144,000. Don't get confused with that. I believe that's the number that's going to be said. About 1.8 of the world's population is about to escape, and I absolutely believe it's this July. I could be off by a year, but I don't think so based on Zechariah. All right? Based on Psalms 18, based on Psalms 118. All right? So many scriptures are telling us based on Hosea 1, Zechariah 1. All right? So, Luke is not, did I pass it? Luke is not purple. Luke is, where is it? Sorry, give me a second. There we go. Luke is not purple. Luke is not a version of purple. Luke is not scarlet. Luke is gorgeous. Bright, clear, radiant white. Here, let's go one more. Comes from 2985. A lamp, flambeau, lamp, light, torch. Comes from 89. So remember I've told you guys before. So it comes from 2989. That would mean if it's from here, generally these words that are in between the two relate to the same word. All right, so we have a lamp. Jesus is our lamp, right? He's bright, clear, radiant. This is what's going to happen to us. Look, brilliance. Brilliant, luxurious. To beam, radiant brilliance. To give light and shine. This is called the bride of Christ, revealed in the robe in Luke. All right? Now let's go back to John. All right? Well, first, remember remember Mark. Mark was purple 4209, as in the color itself. Red, blue. All right? When we go to Luke, Luke's purple is 4210. Watch this. This is the revelation, of the 144,000. All right? Purple and purple. They're both the word purple. Why? Because they're together. They're going through the tribulation. And when you see this understanding, it even tells us in our own English language. Not from 500 or whatever years ago from the King James. Our own language will confirm it in our own modern day definitions. It's so awesome. But why are they both purple? Because they're part of the same time frame. They're going to go through the same thing. But why are they a different name of purple? Because they're two separate groups being spoken to. That's why. And this one here in John is from this one, but is this one. All right? That is bluish red. So not red, blue, bluish red. What could possibly be the reason for that? All right? Let's have a look. Oh, you know what? Give me a second. I'm going to show it. That's in this one here. Watch this. So this is talking about who are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. All right? Watch this. You can go read them and you can get a little bit more understanding. It's things we generally already know. But when I read this today, I was just searching. I can't remember what I typed in. Something to do with Luke. Right? To see these guys because we know Luke wasn't an apostle. Like he's referred to as an apostle, but he wasn't one of the 12 apostles, right? And so we also know that what? John was known as the beloved. All right? Watch this. John was writing to members of the church. Did you hear that? Members of the church. He did not say it was addressing the church. Members of the church who already knew something of the Lord. You get it? Exactly the same thing I'm teaching. When they're talking about it here, they don't understand what they're saying. They don't get what's being revealed in what they're saying right here. It's absolutely true. They understand that it's true. They've said it. But they don't understand who it's speaking to. Members of the church who already knew something of the Lord. The 144,000. Watch. John reveals it in John 21. This gave me greater understanding. Just doing some research, guys. And in the last 5 verses of the book of John, see, John is the disciple whom Jesus loved. And he's talking about himself, excuse me, in the final chapter of John. All right? What else? Remember I said this is the year 2031? Now, yes, in the end time relation, there's all these understandings relating to the last days, the last 21 years before Christ sets his foot down on the Mount of Olives. But within it, of course, there are lessons, there are things that pastors have taught. There's all sorts of things within it, right? The layers of an onion. This is the end time on this channel, revelation of the understanding. All right? What do we see in John 21? Oh, I've said this is the year 2031. This is the end. All right? So Jesus shows himself again to who? The disciples. Watch this. It is now the 3rd time. Hear that? It is now the 3rd time that Jesus has shown himself to his disciples after he was risen from the dead. You get it? The year 2031, when Jesus returns to the Mount of Olives, when's the first time? Escape of the bride. When's the second time? When he takes the 144,000 and then they bring in the rapture of the church. There's the second time. What's the third time? 2031. Now here the third time. When he shows up where? Foot down, feet down on the Mount of Olives. All right? Watch this. This is the disciple which testifieth of these things, and who wrote these things, right? Let's go back. John 21:23. Then went this saying abroad, because, let's go back one more. This is where Peter's saying, the one that Jesus loves is following us. Jesus, what about this man? Here's the mystery of this understanding, guys. You ready? John 21:22. Let's start. Or 21:21. Peter's walking with Jesus, and he says unto him, Jesus, Lord, what shall this man do? Jesus says unto him, if I will that he tarry till I come, what is that to you? You follow me. Then went this saying abroad among the brethren, because Peter went and started saying this, all right? This is what it means. That disciple who was following them, that Jesus loved, should not die. But that's not what Jesus said. Jesus said, Jesus said not unto him, he shall not die. He said, but if I will that he tarry till I come, what is that to you? This is the disciple which testifieth of these things, and wrote these things, and you know that his testimony, excuse me, is true. You know who he's talking to? The 144,000. The disciple that Jesus loved, the disciple John that Jesus loved, are the 144,000 represented who are going to be here until 2031. They're going to get their lessons, get their teaching when Jesus takes them first. In Revelation 7, after these things I saw, and he tells the four angels that are going to, the first four angels that are going to release the first four trumpets, he says, don't do anything yet, don't hurt the earth. We have to seal the servants of our God in their foreheads. All right? Then you guys can release it. Okay? After these guys are sealed, there's your rapture. These guys are going to work, the 144,000 are going to work to gather the raptured group. And then what are they going to do? Luke 10. Remember, they went out the first time. They come back. And what is it? They return to Christ. When? 3.5 years later. And what does Jesus say? And he said unto them, I beheld Satan fall as lightning. And now they're given extra powers to be able to tread on serpents and on scorpions, over all the power of the enemy, and nothing by any means shall hurt you. They're given supernatural power here when they return to see Christ. After their first 3.5 years out, when they were gathering the church, the whole rapture time. Right? So what is this time? What is this second time when they're given this additional power? Revelation 14. They're on Mount Zion. Remember, Jesus is returning with Mount Zion. He's going to be on Mount Zion, not feet down on, on the Mount of Olives. That's 7 years later. In the year 2031, well, our Gregorian 2032, maybe late 2031. Right? They now get additional power. Why? Because what happens at the fifth trumpet? See, here comes the first four trumpets. These are the ones that Jesus said, don't do anything yet, or that angel said, don't do anything yet till we have sealed these guys. Then here they are released. Right? 144,000 got sealed. Rapture happened. They're all on Mount Zion. Then the first four trumpets come. And they go back and they see Jesus, and Jesus gives them additional powers to tread on serpents, on scorpions. And Jesus says that I saw Satan fall like lightning. What's the fifth trumpet? Star falls from heaven. Pit opens up. Locusts like scorpions coming out of the earth. The 144,000 have power to tread over them that they cannot be hurt. The second 3.5 years. Do you see that? This is the second 3.5 years from the fifth trumpet. This is the times, and half a time beginning. How can that be so if it's just 5 trumpets to go? Or what is it, 3 trumpets to go? And there's still 3.5 years. What about all the seals in the first round of trumpets? Do you understand? It's 14 years. This is one of the biggest clues. I mean, there's so many in there. But this is that part here in Luke that he's talking about to the 144,000. They're given power. They get sealed. They go out and do their work during the first 4 trumpets, and they're casting out demons out of people, and they come back to Jesus and they say, wow, it was so amazing. I can't believe we were able to cast out demons. And Jesus says, now I saw Satan fall from heaven. So yeah, somebody was mentioning this before. This is Satan falling from heaven. He's going to unlock the pit. All right? And he's going to be on earth at that point. He's going to be the one that's going to open the pit and cause all this stuff. It's exactly what Jesus said in Luke 10, the second half. When they went back after their first 3.5 years, they come back. I saw Satan fall from heaven like lightning, right? And then what does he tell them? I'm going to give you power over serpents, over scorpions of the earth, that you could tread on them, that they won't hurt you. They could sting you, it won't matter. You can drink poison, it won't matter. Won't matter. You can't be hurt by the enemy that's going to come after you. The power of the 144,000. The additional power in this second half. Do you see? The understanding must be known. 14 years. So now why this purple? Why this different purple? All right? Members of the church, come on. They already knew something of the Lord. Why did they only know something of the Lord? Because if they had known, they would have been raptured. They would have been part of the bride. They didn't have all the understanding yet. Remember, they're Israelites. They're like Nathaniel. Right? When Philip goes and gets Nathaniel and Jesus sees him and says, an Israelite indeed, in whom there is no guile. The quality and the quality of 144,000. All right? Now watch this. So what is the difference with this purple? It's the answer, guys. They're part of the same group, which is why they're both purple. But why is one different purple than the other? Here it is, all right? I already copied and pasted it here. Here's the definition. Now, I got lucky. Why? Because God is good and he didn't want me to miss it. I had to force this. I'll show you what I mean. So what I did is I copied and pasted it, obviously, and then I had to manually type in the word definition. In a lot of cases, I don't. I can type in a word and it'll pop up, definition, meaning, all sorts of different things, right, that are behind the word. But in this case, it wasn't letting me. So I typed in the word definition because it was giving me another word. And when I show you the other word, you're going to see why, okay? So what this is literally just giving us another definition in regards to color, all right? It's just giving us another definition of color, of a type of slightly different color of purple. That's all this is giving us. However, here's where the Greek word comes from. Purple, all right? This is the word. Now look, get ready. In Latin, furfura, however you say that, is the root of it, is a woman in childbirth, since pur means child and para means, sorry for butchering that, means to give birth. Are you ready for this? It is the time immediately after the delivery of the baby. Isn't that amazing? Come on. You guys should be all fired up. Goosebumps going all over the place here. Why was Luke a different color of purple? He's purple because he's part of that group, but he's a different purple because he's a different group within that group. That what? That is dealt with. They're going to be what? Immediately after the delivery of the baby. Are you kidding me? Watch this. Let's go have a look. Let's go have a look. All right, here we go. Sixth seal comes, right? The shaking of the fig tree like a massive meteor shower. The earth and the mountains are shaking. They're saying, hide us in the mountains. Mountains fall on us. In Revelation 6, verse 16, mountains fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. People are going to now see Jesus coming. However that Mount Zion is going to look coming. All right? And the wrath of the Lamb, the wrath of the trumpets, which are the wrath of the Lamb, are coming. All right? For the great day of his wrath is come. This is the day of his wrath. You see that? For the great day. Remember we were talking about that in John? John has a lot of in that day, at that day. Not days, not in those days, at that time. In this day. And what do we see immediately after? And who shall be able to stand? Watch what it says. It even uses the same words that it was talking about for the childbirth. And after these things, some say, and immediately after these things, I saw 4 angels standing, holding back, holding on, and so forth. And the time of the 144,000 to get sealed. Let's go to Revelation 12. Bride escapes. The woman is still pregnant. This is what everybody is skipping over. I'm sorry, but it ticks me off. Everybody's skipping through Revelation. The Revelation 12 quote-unquote sign. And everybody's thinking the rapture was supposed to happen today. Hello? What about the travailing? What about the other wonder? Right? What about this child being born? This delivering of a child? And the 144,000 getting sealed and then the rapture? Apparently that's all supposed to happen in 12 hours. You get it? We're not there yet. We haven't seen this. That sign, if you want to say it was a sign, on September 23rd, maybe it was a sign just to prepare us of the sign that's coming. Look at the word appeared. To gaze, that is, with wide open eyes at something remarkable. Not like this one, which simply denotes voluntary observation, like voluntarily looking at a computer screen. No, it means something, whoa, a watching from a distance that makes us go, wow. That wasn't September 23rd. This is going to appear when the bride is going. We're going to see it. How long are we going to see it before the bride is taken? I don't know. But look at this. And she being with child. Why? Because Christ is returning at trumpets. We just saw it at the end of the 6th seal. Right? And she being with child cried, what? Travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. Not yet delivered. Then another sign is going to appear. This is called tribulation. Pain to be delivered. This is called Psalms 90 and 10. The 70 to 80, but not all of it, all right? This is about 7 years into it. Or really 6 probably years into it. The seals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seals. And at the 6th seal, this is probably your next wonder. A great red dragon. And he's going to cast his tail 1/3 of the stars. This is a celestial event. It's not actual Satan coming down yet. This is a celestial event that is going to be seen and then is going to cast down those meteors. And then what's going to happen? 6th seal has passed. And then what happens? The woman which was ready to be delivered to devour her child, and she brought forth a man-child. Jesus is going to be back at trumpets before the first trumpet. They saw him at the end of the sixth seal. People are saying, fall on us, mountains, hide us from him. And what does he do? The first thing he does is he gathers the 144,000 who are going to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And what are they going to do? Look, Revelation 14. They stand, the Lamb stood. I looked and lo, a Lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with them 144,000. When? At the beginning of trumpets. And then what happens? She brings forth, Jesus shows up in the sky. However that Mount Zion is going to work. Then you have the 144,000 that they're going to seal, that are going to be on Mount Zion with them. But they're going to go out first, right? They're going to go out to all nations, and they're going to gather up for the rapture of the church. They are the rapture of the church of Mark's group. The main harvest is going to Mount Zion. And then after the 144,000 have done this for 3.5 years, right? Then they're going to have 3.5 more years. When? When the dragon loses his battle in heaven over those next 3.5 years and is cast down to the earth to persecute the woman which brought forth Jesus, just like Daniel said. It's going to be 7 years of seals, right? 7 days. That's going to be, or 7 weeks. That's going to be the 7 years of seals. And then Jesus is going to be here on earth, well, on Mount Zion for 3.5 years. And the raptured church is going to be there with him until they all go, when Jesus says what? After 3.5 years in Daniel, after the next 3.5 years, which is 10.5 years in, which is Psalms 90 and 10, he's going to cut himself off. Why? Because Satan is here on earth. He has lost his battle in heaven, and he is now on the first heaven. He has been kicked out of the third heaven. He has lost his battle in the second heaven. He is now going to be on earth. And I believe this is going to be part of the alien deception when he comes with all of his bad guys. And what's going to happen? He's going to go after the 144,000. He's going to go after Judah, where they're going to flee and have a place protected for them for a time, times, and half a time. This is why it says in Luke that he gives them power to tread on serpents and on scorpions and all those things. It's exactly the story, guys. Do you understand this timing? Do you understand this is 14 years? You can't watch this video and go look into these things for yourselves and turn around and look me straight in the face. Well, mind you, I don't show my face, but send me a comment that it's just not true, that I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, but I'd have to say you're a liar, or you just haven't done your homework. It is absolutely true. Absolutely true. John's purple is a purple that relates to that the color, which has to do with the time immediately after the delivery of a baby. Immediately after, what do we say? The sixth seal. Immediately after Revelation 12, where to go again? All right? Immediately after she brings forth the child, the 144,000 get sealed. The rapture happens. Guys, it is so amazing. So awesome. I want to show you one more, though. Watch this. Let's go to the Webster Dictionary of it. All right? Watch this. Watch this, watch this. of relating to or occurring during childbirth or the period immediately following. Right here in our own English language. Our own English modern language giving us the definition and the understanding as to why on earth is John's purple different than Mark's purple when they're a part of the same time frame. Now we know because of their purples. Are you kidding me? The word purple and scarlet and all these are telling us who these groups are. It's amazing. And guys, for all those who are watching that don't know it, this program is called eSword. eSword. It is a free program online. That's how we can go in. Could you imagine trying to figure this out with just a Bible and not having the word definitions that we can go into here? See all these word definitions? I would never have been able to solve this and figure this out for you guys without this program called eSword. Impossible. Impossible. Well, almost impossible. I would have had to go to the big Septuagint book and folding over all these books to try to get the definitions. The technology has made it possible for us. All right here. And our most awesome Luke, our writer to the bride with the glorious, radiant, bright color white robe. Guys, you understand that? Impossible without the Spirit being leading me. Do you get that? This is why I'm asking you guys for help. This is why we're saying if you have the ability, please send us some donations so that we can turn around and get as many of these USBs and get videos like this and understandings and teachings of the truth of the timing so that those who are left behind, if they find it late or if they didn't believe it, that when they're there during it, for those that unfortunately are going to go through the tribulation, we can help many, hopefully thousands, hopefully more, not fall away in apostasy because they will have had truth left behind them to the time of what is coming, the true time and not the lie. You get it? Right? Watch this. Let me finish with this. Remember, purple, scarlet. We all know where this is going, right? So he carried me away, Revelation 17, verse 3. So he carried me away in the Spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit on a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet. Do you know why? Because purple and scarlet are going to be here during this time of tribulation that she brings with the beasts. You get it? I love it, guys. I love it. This fired me up so much going into this study. It is incredible. I love it. God is so good. I don't know why he's using me, but I'm so happy he is. This is another amazing, amazing revelation. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. You want to be Luke. You want to be Luke. We can avoid all these things that are about to come. And I believe they're going to kick off next month, mid-ish next month. I truly believe the bride is gone by middle of next month. It's not a fall feast. Those fall feasts are for these guys when Jesus returns, all right? This has to do with Pentecost. Part 1 of Pentecost, the first fruits of Pentecost. This is the rest of Pentecost, the main harvest. They will both be at Pentecost. This will be when he returns late 2031 at the fall feasts, feet down on Mount Zion. On the Mount of Olives. All right? Guys, watch this, share this, study this, understand it for yourselves so that you can let others know. You can show others the incredible revelation that reveals the truth, the understanding, the timing of these end times that we pray we're not all here for. I pray that everybody that hears this before the escape have been found worthy to escape all these things. And I pray that we will have left enough of these for enough people that will be able to help give encouragement and strength during the times they're going to be living in. That when those first 3.5 years passed, they don't just all start falling away because they were misled in the 7 years, with 3.5 years being the time of the rapture. All right, guys? Why would we leave? Why are people that believe we're at the sixth seal or waiting for the sixth seal, why on earth would we leave anything behind for people? Why would we do something like this? And then I'm done. Why would we be doing something like this? And I know people that are waiting for the sixth seal that are thinking it's just trumpets left. They're leaving things behind for people too. Why bother? If the 144,000 are going to be there and they're going to have this exceptional power and casting demons out and doing all these things all around the world where they're sent, what would be the point of us leaving all these things behind? Because the seals have not begun. With exception of maybe the first seal, the white seal, white horse rider having been released. All right? Guys, I love you. God bless you. Thanks for watching. I pray that you share, subscribe, tell others to share, tell others to subscribe. And if you have the ability, go to the About Us on this channel and send us a donation if you can. And we will get even more of these USBs. We're paying for USBs and of course all the shipping to where we're sending these around the world as well. All right. And if you guys have churches and pastors that you want us to send these revelations to and the truth and the understanding of these end time years, send us comments, send us emails. The email, you can click on it in the About Us here on this channel and send us these churches that you know of, the pastor, the address, and if you know the name of the church as well. All right? And we're doing our own research and those that we know that we've watched over the years online, and we're sending them out on our own. But if you guys have some, and family members, if you guys want us to maybe send you, we can send you one, but if we have some extras, which we might not for a little bit, but if we do, we can send you more than one if you request it. If you've given a donation and you're requesting, X amount, absolutely, we'll send those all out to you as well. All right? So with that, guys, I love you. God bless you. I pray that this reaches you and reaches others and just wakes up a whole bunch of people with this exciting revelation. Thank you guys for sharing with me. This is a lot of how it happens. You guys share stuff back with me and the revelation is just released. All right. I love you guys. God bless you. Thank you so much. God bless.